Hello! So today I am coming at you with all things Jess Kidd, because I'm going to be reviewing himself, the Hoarder, and things in jars. I got a comment on a recent video asking me if I had read any Jess Kidd, which I hadn't, but the name really rung a bell. So I went to my bookshelf, had a little look, and there you go. I had himself on the bookshelf. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to go ahead and read everything Jess Kidd has written. And I did. Well, all of them except one. I have not read her most recent novel, The Night Ship, but I have done the treble. So first up we have Himself, a novel filled with mystery, magic and the supernatural, set in a small Irish village. First published in 2016, this book takes the reader on a journey through the enchanting world of Mulderrig. And let's get this out of the way right now. We all know I'm dyslexic. I am going to mispronounce the names of a lot of these Irish things. Mulderrig is jam-packed with secrets and a past that refuses to stay buried. We have richly developed characters, a lovely lyrical prose, and a nice blending of genres. We follow Mahony, or Mahony, I just don't know. I'm going to go Mahony, but I could be wrong. Mahony is a man in his mid to late 20s in search of his mother. He leaves the city to visit the small Irish town where his mother was raised in order to find answers. I don't think it's much of a spoiler because you find out very early on that Mahony can in fact see ghosts. He soon becomes best friends with his new landlady, Mrs. Corley, and the two of them start putting the entire town under the microscope. Structurally, we jump back and forth between Mahony and his time growing up in an orphanage, but we also jump back to his mother when she was younger, growing up in the village. I get massive Neil Gaiman vibes from Jess Kidd's style and approach to storytelling, so if you do not like anything Neil Gaiman has ever done, then you are definitely not going to like Jess Kidd's work. So what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. I really loved the setting and all the characters were great with lovely dialogue all the way through. I really enjoyed the mystery whodunit vibe and the whole town being under suspicion. There's a good amount of humour in this novel and I think it gelled beautifully well with the writing style. And finally, the plot was good. The plot was good and really interesting and kept me turning the page. What didn't I like? For me, this novel is just a little bit small in scope. I love everything that's taking place. I love all the characters. I love the whimsy. I love the mystery. I love the supernatural elements. I don't know. Some of the secondary characters, the relationships that our protagonist has, they're developed, but no way near enough for what I personally like. For some people, if you're into a bit of a beach read or something that you can just get through quickly, this will be fine. But for me, I want those things to be pushed a lot further. So for me, the whole book is being dragged down by the fact that those secondary characters just don't get a lot of time to live and breathe. For me, this is 3 stars out of 5. It was good. So now let's talk about The Hoarder. We follow Maud Drennan, an underpaid carer and an unintentional psychic. She is the latest carer in a long line of dogs' bodies for the ancient belligerent Mr. Flood. Mr. Flood lives in a huge house and it is absolutely jam-packed with clutter. Because like the title of the book suggests, Mr. Flood is in fact a massive hoarder. Despite her best efforts, Maud is drawn into the secrets concealed within Mr. Flood's filthy and grand house. She slowly starts to realise that something is changing. Mr. Flood and his entire home seems to be opening up to her. We have a colourful cast of characters. We have an agoraphobic landlady, and we also have a troupe of sarcastic, ghostly saints sent to help Maud. Maud must try and uncover what lies beneath Mr. Flood's decades-old hostility, and the strange activities of the house itself. And if someone does have a secret buried in the house, how far will they go to ensure it remains buried? Now, this is going to seem incredibly lazy, but I'm going to give you some reasoning for why I'm being so lazy. I have been very unwell recently. I have been in and out of hospital and at the doctors constantly for some throat issues that I'm having. So every spare second that I would have had to film a review or write a review or do anything, I've just been sat in A&E or, in doctors. It's been really rubbish. So I'm going to be a bit lazy with this one because I could give you all the reasons, all the what is good and what is bad about The Hoarder. However, my feelings towards The Hoarder are exactly, and I mean exactly the same as my feelings towards Himself. Just like Himself, The Hoarder is fun. It's filled with mystery and it's filled with the supernatural. We do get a little bit more connection to the secondary characters in The Hoarder over himself, but it's not a lot. It plays to a very, very similar beat, and I found it all very fun. The characters were incredibly engaging. It was really funny. I loved the blend of genres, the mystery and the magic and the supernatural all work extremely well, and the plot is very interesting and enough to keep you turning the page. But just like himself, I found it being a little bit thin. Again, I just wanted it to push further, to be bigger, to be grander in its ideas. So many little things that I just wanted to be explored a little bit further, and they weren't. And I know why. Jess Kidd is trying to keep the pace going. It is already very engaging, and the characters are really interesting. She knows exactly what she's doing. It's lovely lyrical prose. She doesn't need to do any of those things, but personally, that's what I need. So I'm going to give The Hoarder 3 stars out of 5. Just like himself, it was good. And finally, we have Things in Jars. We follow Bridie Devine, a female detective extraordinaire who is confronted with her most baffling puzzle yet. Christabel Berwick has been kidnapped. She is the secret daughter of Sir Edmund Berwick. She is a strange child reported to have supernatural powers, which has garnered her unwanted attention from collectors. Collectors who trade in curiosities in this Victorian age of discovery. Winding her way through the labyrinthy, sooty streets of Victorian London, Bridie will not stop until she finds the girl. Even if it means unearthing secrets of her own past which she would rather have kept hidden. And just like himself and The Hoarder, our protagonist is aided by a cast of colourful characters. A couple of examples would be Bridie's 7-foot housemaid and also a melancholic tattooed ghost. The book has a lovely blend of fantasy, folklore and history. And now you're really going to think I'm lazy, because I felt about this book the exact same way I felt about himself and The Hoarder. These books are all very samey. They all have lyrical prose, they all have magic and supernatural elements. They are all very, very funny with great dialogue. They all move at a great pace and the plot is very interesting. However, they are all very, very paper thin. These novels go just deep enough for you to care, but no further than that, and it does feel very cookie cutter. These first 3 books, it's the same thing happening 3 times. I enjoyed reading every single book, but reading them back to back across a week has really showed me how similar Jess Kidd's approach to narrative and structure and storytelling really is. Each novel does get better. Jess Kidd does get better as a writer with each book she approaches. However, it's not an astronomical jump. It's just very, very small things. And I don't know, I enjoyed them all. I'm going to give Things in Jars 3 stars out of 5. It is also good. They are all good. However, I wanted to do the 4th. I wanted to do everything Jess Kidd had written. I wanted to read The Night Ship. I couldn't do it. I couldn't read another book that I was sure was just going to be another version of the same story done over again. I was so sure we were going to get some sort of supernatural element. We were going to get some very kooky, quirky side characters. And there was going to be a mystery. It wasn't really going to reach that far. It was all going to be quite self-contained. And the mystery would be interesting but wouldn't blow me away. I don't know. Now I could be wrong. The Night Ship could be something that really steps away from the formula of the 3 books I have reviewed today. But yeah, I couldn't do it. So if you are looking to read something that is easygoing with great dialogue, fun characters, doesn't take too much effort, and it's just fun, then any of these books would be a great choice. But for me personally, yeah, I need something with a bit more bite. Saying that, the one thing that I've forgotten to say that I really liked about all 3 of these books is Jess Kidd is not afraid to go to some really dark places. There is violence, really graphic violence in these books, and somehow it doesn't jar against the rest of the storytelling. She picks her moments very wisely, and when they hit, they really do hit. So yeah, when I say a bit more bite, I don't mean in that sense. I just mean something that goes a bit deeper and is a bit grander. These books definitely have some bite to them. Yeah, I would definitely say there are some content warnings, or look up the content warnings if you are thinking of reading any of them. So there you go. Have you read any of these 3 books? And if you have, please let me know. Also, if you have read The Night Ship, let me know as well. Is it a departure from the previous 3, or is it just the same thing again? If I was to pick a favourite book out of all three of them, it is tough because they are so incredibly similar, but I think I would probably go Things in Jars. I really enjoyed that Victorian setting. It gave me a better sense of place. It just felt a little bit more mystical, a bit more mysterious compared to the other two. Yeah, so Things in Jars would be my favourite out of all three, but, you know, by a hair. They're all very similar. Right, that was a really bad review video from me. I know it was really bad, but I'm afraid to say I feel awful. I have felt awful for 5 weeks straight. When your throat keeps constantly closing up and you feel like you're choking, probably about 10 to 15 times a day, it's really hard to concentrate on reading, and it's also really hard to concentrate on anything else. I was lucky that today I've managed to find a little section of time in which I don't feel like utter dog shit, so I was able to get a review up. But when I was writing it, I was struggling, and I just thought to myself, do you know what? I thought the exact same thing about all three of them. I'm just going to say that. So there you go. So apologies in advance for how bad this one was. But there you go. I read Jess Kidd, and I enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. And as always, I hope you're well, and I'll see you all on the next one.